Welcome to Armagh, all of you, especially those who have travelled so far. It's great to see a good audience, and it's a pleasure for me, therefore, to welcome especially, as I say, the international speakers and the participants of the conference, which is due to take place over the next couple of days. From the programme that you have, you'll see that many bodies have played an important role in the planning and other arrangements for the meeting, and I particularly want to thank Northern Ireland's Department of Culture, Arts and Leisure for its support through core funding for astronomical research at Armagh Observatory, and the Republic of Ireland's Discover Science and Engineering programme for providing the necessary core funding to enable this meeting to take place. Without the support of these two funding agencies, this conference would simply not have been possible. I also want to thank Astronomy Ireland for kindly donating copies of their magazine, Astronomy and Space, for you all, and the British Astronomical Association's campaign for Dark Skies for providing the booklets on light pollution and for their support in the planning stages of this meeting. These and other materials, the bags and so on, have been kindly donated by the Armagh City and District Tourist Information Centre, and there are, of course, many others whom I should thank, and some of those are mentioned in the acknowledgement section of the programme. As for the others, well, you all know who you are, so I won't make a long list. Perhaps the only final remark I should make at this point, before handing over to the VIP speakers, is that this conference is one of the Observatory's principal actions in support of International Year of Astronomy 2009. Another, the From Earth to the Universe Travelling Poster Exhibition, organised jointly with the Belfast-based Irish Astronomical Association, you can see hanging on the walls of the theatre just outside. This special astronomy year is supported by the UN, UNESCO and the IAU, and is a worldwide series of activities in every country to commemorate the first use of a telescope for astronomical observations by both Galileo and Thomas Harriot, as it turns out. IYA activities have been promoted by an IYA 2009 Secretariat, and principally Mike Redfern and colleagues, and largely funded again by DSE programme. So thank you very much, Discover Science and Engineering. Many of you will be aware of some of those activities, and I mention particularly from a policy point of view the fact that small sums of outreach funding, enough to support, as it were, the core teams that can coordinate these activities, are very, very powerful tools to lever a vast amount of energetic and highly inspirational programmes from volunteers and astronomy clubs throughout the country. And that's actually been seen to the place to occur, not just in Northern Ireland and the Republic, but throughout the UK and elsewhere in Europe. So the resonant benefits from IYA in terms of raising awareness of astronomy amongst the wider public are manifest. It highlights the importance of an imagination driver, a subject in which the peoples of this island have been involved at the front line from essentially the dawn of civilization. And it also helps, of course, to generate a resurgent interest among young people in the so-called hard sciences, physics, mathematics, engineering, and so on which our economy so evidently depends. One of the aims of this conference is, of course, not just to talk to ourselves, but rather to identify measures and possible actions possible actions to reduce light pollution, not just here in Northern Ireland, but throughout the whole of the island of Ireland and throughout Europe too. The intellectual stimulus of access to dark skies can't be underestimated, and similarly, reducing light pollution will enhance our environment and preserve our view of the night sky, fully half our field of view. In the words of the Astronomer Royal, Lord Rees, you don't need to be an ornithologist to want to see some birds in your garden. You don't need to be an astronomer to want to see the stars. Bright lights and dark skies are for everyone. In short, then, our objective over the next 2 days is to aim to secure a powerful source of inspiration, not just for professional and amateur astronomers, but for the whole community, one that has operated subliminally for thousands of years and driven fundamental ideas, curiosity-driven research and intellectual activity throughout that time. So, without more ado, let me now introduce our first speaker, Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon, Mayor of Armagh City and District.
Thank you, Mark. Member of the European Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Mayor of Armagh, I'm delighted to welcome you all to Armagh today for what promises to be a very interesting and informative conference. The Council are delighted that you have chosen the Marketplace Theatre and Arts Centre as a venue for your conference. And I can see from your programme that a number of your speakers have travelled from across the globe to be with you this morning, and indeed for the rest of your conference. This may be your first visit to Armagh, and I hope you are impressed with our city. In Armagh City and District Council, we're very proud that we have the observatory and the planetarium to add to our tourist portfolio. People travel from near and far to visit these world-famous centres of astronomical education and innovation. I am delighted that you've come together to tackle the problem of light pollution, and I look forward to learning of the fantastic progress you are making with regard to identifying measures and taking possible actions to reduce this. I would conclude by wishing you well for your discussions in the coming days and look forward to hearing from you, Mark, in the near future. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jim Nicholson, a local man. Armagh lives down the road, and he's also one of the 4 Northern Ireland MEPs. And he's going to speak on the European dimension and try to widen our horizons beyond Armagh City and District to the planet, perhaps. Over to you, Jim.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mayor, can I also bid you a very warm welcome to the city of Armagh. I live just 4 miles out the road, and I know the city very well. In fact, I had the privilege to be the first mayor of the city and the last chairman and the first mayor, so nobody can ever repeat that. But I know you've come from all over. I flew back into the province last night. Unfortunately, I couldn't get back in time to attend a dinner that the mayor was having to try to promote Armagh, because I was in Strasbourg all week. Another very beautiful city, let me say, another very beautiful city, but very difficult to get to from Northern Ireland, and also very difficult to get back from. But it's a great pleasure to be with you here this morning in Armagh. And I think, you know, when you look at what we have in Armagh, the planetarium, the observatory, the 2 cathedrals, we are the ecclesiastical capital of the island. As the former Archbishop of Armagh pointed out to me one time, some time back, that he was the Archbishop of all Ireland. And as a unionist, I stood chastised. So it's always good to come back and to see that what's happening in our distinguished history, and the ancient kings of Ulster and St. Patrick have all come from here. And unfortunately, and probably all of us are guilty, we have so many treasures in Armagh that the people of Armagh do not know about or recognise. And one of them is, of course, the observatory and the planetarium. And, you know, I think we can do more and we can contribute more. And I'm looking to the department official here, because I can assure him that my office is now on the case, and we're going to be hounding him and the minister to do more for the observatory in Armagh, because I believe it's a tremendous thing that we've been given by Archbishop Robinson all those years ago. I'm sure when he provided that and was putting that in place, he could not even imagine today what and how valuable that is to us who are on this earth today. And here you are this morning, and you know, as we live on this planet and we talk about, and I'm no expert on the environment or what's going to happen in the future for the planet or anything else. All I know, ladies and gentlemen, we are on this planet a very short time, each and every last one of us. And we have got to do our best to ensure that we hand this planet on to the next generations in at least as good a condition and a state of society as what we inherited from our forefathers. And that, I think, is the challenge to all of us as we are today. And Europe is very much aware of this. And probably, as I said earlier to someone, as politicians we always can do more. And I think we've got to always strive to do more. But what we have got to do is, what we do is do it better. Now, I don't believe we can wait 50 years to find out about who's right or who's wrong on the whole argument of the global warming. But I do know we have got to do our bit here and now. And we can, because little things can actually make a big difference. I want to also take this opportunity to wish you a very good conference. Unfortunately, I can't stay with you. I have 3 other appointments before lunchtime today, never mind what I have in the afternoon. One of the great difficulties about being a European politician, if you do your job, you're in Europe Monday to Thursday, and you've got to then put a week's work into Friday. But it's a great pleasure to be with you here this morning. I hope you have a great conference, and I know you're in good hands, and you're in a very beautiful part of the world with very friendly people, and I know you will enjoy it. So I wish you well in your endeavours. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Jim. Our next speaker is Peter Brabazon, who is the director of the Discover Science and Engineering programme. And he's going to speak, I think, from the perspective of DSE and the motivation for supporting conferences such as this with the aim of inspiring young people into science. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Lord Mayor, Member of the European Parliament, and all of the organisers, particularly our partners in the observatory. It's such an important thing for Discover Science and Engineering to be involved with you. I'm here just to sort of give a bit of a flavour, exactly as Mark said, of why we would support such an important conference, and to give you an idea of where we're coming from. I always do that, so apologies. It's a different pad. Great. I was asked to talk in the context of the smart economy. This is a response by the government in Dublin to the current recession. Let's be honest about it. There's quite a lot going on outside the doors. And fundamentally, this is about really looking back to where we were, I suppose, now that I'm in the city, certainly of the saints, as we've just heard, and also, of course, very fundamentally today in this room of the scholars as well. And so how do we, particularly in point number 2, do we build an ideas economy and creating the innovation island? That's really the focus. And of course, if you go down the further bullets, you'll see, obviously, doing all of that while we're enhancing the environment, the very planet that we're living on, and that which we will hopefully leave in an even better condition for the next generation. Well, just how is it just at present, the innovation island? Well, on the top we have quite good factors. We've got young, well-educated, good investment in education society. Our entrepreneurial skills are improving. We have a lot of high-tech multinationals on this island. We have a pretty good investment in education, and we're above average, as you see in Europe, for the number of scientific citations that we have. However, there are some threats, and this is all the analysis from the smart economy. We below average with regards to our expenditure on research and development, but it's increasing rapidly. We've got a large number, which is a bit of a negative, because of the effort is diluted, of third-level institutions compared to the population that we have, the size of the population. So there's plenty of opportunities, I suppose, but of course, often clustering is a good idea here to even get a higher level of excellence in terms of education, at third level particularly. The key thing for us in Discover Science and Engineering is, of course, scientific literacy and mathematical literacy. And with all due respect, we're average. Only average is really what this document is saying. And there, obviously, while we might do everything so clever, if we can't communicate it, particularly if we don't have language skills, then we're really in trouble. So that's the focus. This is something I stole from the Chief Scientific Advisor back in Dublin. And effectively, it shows that while we have the leaders there on the right-hand side, and you'll see that the UK, Denmark, right up to Switzerland are in there, Ireland is a little bit lower. It's a follower. And the objective of the smart economy is to become a leader in the area. So of the original 15 EU, we're about average, but we need to be better. That's what we're saying to ourselves. Discover Science and Engineering. What's its role and why are we here today? Well, I think some of you have heard about dark matter and that last night. Our first chairman of Discover Science and Engineering was Leo Renwright, starting at the very end of 2003. He's led us well. We're a team of 9 now, with a total budget of 2.685 million this year. And our fundamental mission is really to help that innovation society, that economy, by assisting with the promotion of science and engineering to young people, and generally to increase the awareness of the general population about the value of science and engineering. So our overall objective really fundamentally is to encourage youngsters at primary level and at second level to consider a career in the physical sciences. And that's why I'm here today, because space is such an interesting topic for so many kids. So we want to show the relevance of space to the science in their schools. That's effectively what we're trying to do. So the key issues that both are in the smart economy, which said we should open and increase our remit with regards to promoting particularly engineering, where there's weaker numbers in, because it's looked on as one of the harder subjects, just as in the harder sciences, and mathematics. Our mathematical literacy, as I said, is just average. We particularly focus, though, on second-level students, because that's where curriculum change is fundamentally happening now. We've already been through a cycle at primary level. And then the other thing is, of course, the other main influencers are parents and teachers, and what we're trying to focus on there is to get them to understand the excellent careers that are in the physical sciences, whether it's on the mathematical side of things, right out to physics, chemistry. And it mightn't just be just like my Molly Cool down in the right-hand corner. It's not necessarily just in the lab. It's also in even selling products and selling concepts, in fact. There are a lot of opportunities for Ireland, particularly now as we move to selling our services and our skills in these areas. I'm sure we'll hear a lot about green energy. Ireland can become a provider of key advice in this area to the rest of the world, I believe. Our programme, very briefly, we have really focused on primary up to now, and we are involved in 92% of the 3,300 national primary schools around the country. We have awards of science excellence. We work with 28, I think, it's Discover Centres, one of which is the Armagh Planetarium, one of which is also W5 in Belfast. At second level, the curriculum has changed. It's sort of midway. It's got to the exam that they do at 15-16, the junior certificate, and we're supporting the project work that's there now. And we're also now working with the curriculum advisors on looking how they can change the curriculum to be more engaging at the leaving exam, which is done at about 18 years of age. And guess what they're putting in there? They're putting part of the curriculum in around the space theme. So important, because again, it's so interesting. And of course, they are very interested in how Northern Ireland has already done that, which I think is very important. We're involved also, as I said, selling the message that science is an opportunity, and for your children particularly. And so that's why we do Science Week in November each year. And we're working mainly with third-level institutions all around the country, about 500 events, 100 key organisers or partners. And partners is the word. The biggest partnership that we have this year in Discover Science and Engineering is the International Year of Astronomy. And part of that, of course, is your event here today. We're very pleased at the success, obviously, the turnout, the fun last night with dark matter and salsa dancing, etc., because that's what it's about. It's about engaging people. The two didn't actually go together just like that. We're also involved with key partners like Engineers Ireland, who are very active here in the north as well, of course, Steps to Engineering. And you'll see us as the gold partner in the Young Scientists exhibition, which is so important for showing the best projects. And, you know, just this week, the European Young Scientist effectively has been won by 2 boys from County Cork who invented a way of spotting the bacteria in milk. And it's such a simple project, but so effective. And the other area, because our remit has been expanded this year, is where, of course, we're working on mathematical initiatives as well. We'll be back well, many times perhaps before the 13th of May next year, but we will be back with a conference for those who are involved in the promotion of STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, next year, again with the planetarium. And we're very pleased to have worked in such a cooperative way. It's been really worthwhile from our point of view. So thank you very much for your time. Every success to your symposium. It's a really, really interesting topic. I am particularly interested in it because I'm an electrical engineer who used to lecture on lighting. So best of luck.
Thank you very much for that, Peter. And our last VIP speaker this morning is Mr. Mick Corey. He's the Director of Sports, Museums and Leisure, which sounds rather nice, in DCAL, the Department of Culture, Arts and Leisure, that supports the Armagh Observatory and the Armagh Planetarium, the museums, and a wide range of other activities within Northern Ireland. So over to you, Mick.
Thank you, Mark. And on behalf of the Minister for Culture, Arts and Leisure, Nelson McCausland, MLA, I would like to welcome you all to Northern Ireland, Armagh. And I'm afraid I do apologise for the Minister, on behalf of the Minister, for not being able to come personally today. His diary commitments did not allow it. Department of Culture, Arts and Leisure has a very wide remit. It covers not just the arts, culture and leisure activities as in its title, but it also covers areas such as museums, inland fisheries and waterways in Northern Ireland. But also a particular star in its firmament is the Armagh Observatory and its sister organisation, the Planetarium. And we're very pleased to see the lead role that they have taken in terms of organising this symposium as part of the International Year of Astronomy. Support for the work of the observatory and planetarium is very important and under increasing pressure, of course, from the general economic climate that we face. But we do whatever we can to help ensure that the important work that it does can continue and can continue in the future. A strange link, perhaps, but I was just looking at the range of speakers and guests that we have here today and realised that we have environmentalists, biologists. We did have a politician. We do have a politician. We have the mayor. We have a whole range of scientists. There's a professor of medicine. And, of course, my own background as a professional land surveyor who has actually observed the night sky and used it in his professional work and have had the privilege of seeing a night sky without light pollution. And I think, and I believe, and I said this to Mark the other day, that you only really have to see that night sky once without light pollution to realise the beauty, the inspiration that is possible, and understand exactly what this conference is about. So I do welcome you all. I encourage your discussions over the next 2 days on behalf of the Minister. I look forward to hearing, I will be here for part of the morning at least, and look forward to hearing the talks that I will be present, but I will also be looking forward to, hopefully with a bit of a clear sky tonight, seeing some stars as well. Welcome, thank you, and enjoy your 2 days.
Well, thank you very much for that, Mick, and thank you to all the invited speakers this morning for their words of encouragement and vision, if I can use the pun, to dark skies.